Hey, this is Adam, and I'm showing off my cool solution that I worked out in competition and got a 38 fewest moves challenge single on. Just because I think it's pretty cool. I don't main this event or anything. I think the last time I practiced this event was the last competition that actually had fewest moves, which would have been months ago. Which is probably why I was so surprised to beat my single and get a 38. That's pretty crazy for me. So, this is the scramble. The first thing I see is this nice little block here that's already done. And so my first thing I thought of to do was to join this with the yellow and red edge to make a square. And the yellow and red edge is here actually, so that's quite an easy task. I move it here, then up, move the red edge in with a double move, and then move this down and I have a square. And then I want to insert this edge to make a 2x2 block, and obviously the blue-red edge is the one that goes here, and that's actually up here, which is very nice. So for this I literally just do the standard like keyhole case, nothing fancy at all, move it to the side, the 3-move insert of this edge, and then I move the square back, and I have my block. And here's where I start getting really lucky. So the next stage after this will be to make this 2x2 block into a 3x2 block. So I'll add either this section onto it or this section. And I'm having a look at it, and I would need 3 pieces to go into here. These 3 need to be solved. And the piece that goes here is here. The yellow and green edge is right above where it needs to go. And the pieces that go here are, incredibly luckily, already joined together here. And they're aligned with this edge. So I realized it's actually 2 moves to do the step, which is really just stupid, because you can move that block to join with the edge, and you've got a square, and then you move it into your already existing block, and you've already done it. And I've only done 11 moves so far to make this block, which I think is pretty cool. And it's at this point in the solve where I actually did switch to the inverse scramble, because the continuation was just a lot nicer there. I only did this once in the solve, by the way, so the entire rest of the solve is on the inverse of the scramble, by the way. And I still have this block made, because I've inverted the scramble after doing the first 11 moves I did to make this block. And unbelievably, after switching to the inverse, I've got another 2-move case to progress to the next step. So I want to make F2L-1, which should be all the first 2 layers except either this pair or this pair. If I'm doing yellow cross. I obviously also could have done red cross, but yellow cross is the one I went with because it's better in this case specifically. So you see these 2 pieces are just a block already formed here, and they can join up with this piece to make another square, which you can insert. And that's 2 moves, 2 more moves to F2L-1. It's just crazy lucky. I can't believe I got 2 move inserts in a row. It's just ridiculous luck. And so the next pair is just a very normal F2L pair. These 2. And the funny thing is I would actually start this pair by doing an R, which is actually an L because I'm facing green front, but for the purposes of explaining this, it's an R move. But obviously I just did an R2 to insert this block into my already existing block. So obviously if I do R2 and R, I can cancel 1 move and just do R prime. And then continue with the rest of this F2L case as I normally would, like this. And like that, I've completed the first 2 layers of the cube in only 19 moves. And so here I am at the last layer now. So I have this OLL case, which you can actually do from this side, starting like this, or from this side, starting like this. Or actually, since I don't like using wide moves in FMC, it would be like this, or like this. No, sorry, this and this, if I'm translating it into outer turn moves, which is what I always do with my algorithms in FMC. And so this case, since you can do it from either way, I played around with it and had a look at which one was best for me in this solve. And the result I came back with was that it's actually better to do it from this side and start with this, if you're facing the green front, this R move. And so this is just, despite me changing the algorithm slightly so there's no wide moves, it's actually still just an 8 move case. Doesn't change the move count at all. And that would be done like this with that variation on the algorithm. And it gives you a U-perm. And I was very happy with having found this last layer. And as you may know, a U-perm is 11 moves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and obviously I have to do a 12th to orient the last layer at the end. So add that to the 8 move OLL, that's another 20 moves, and since I did F2L in 19, that's 39 moves, which I was already really happy with. It's sub 40. But I already actually had a 39 in comp. So I devoted the last 20 minutes of my allotted hour to do as many things as I could to find some way to cancel one extra move to beat 39, and I did manage to do that, and I'll show you how. So this is the PLL case I got. Note that, well, obviously it's a U2 away, but I do that as the final move anyway, that's not going to change. So all I'm noting here is that the edges I'm doing the U-perm with, so I'm swapping these in a circle. They are the blue, orange, and red edges. Obviously, also all white edges because I did yellow bottom layer. So I actually noted them down here, these 3 pieces, because I then went through the solve and kept an eye on these pieces and tried to find a way to do the U-perm maybe in a different place if these edges lined up to maybe cancel some moves and get a 38. And so here I am again at the original last layer case before I've done OLL. So, and I obviously did it from this side, but it doesn't really matter. So this was when I was having a look for when these edges lined up, and obviously at time they would all at least be in the top layer as in OLL. And I'm having a look and seeing that if you look at this, right, this green is opposite where it goes, because green goes opposite blue on the cube. And if you remember, the last move is a U2. So this is technically solved if we look at it from a U2 away, okay? And this piece is opposite. This is opposite where it needs to be, and these 2 pieces are off by 1. Which means we actually have a U-perm. The thing I didn't realize when I started doing this last layer the first time is that these edges during this OLL algorithm don't actually change position. This algorithm only affects the corners. The edges do not really move. I mean, maybe they move along like that, but I actually don't think they do at all. It doesn't affect the edges at all, which is crazy. And so then I realized I can just do the U-perm before the OLL, which may sound incredibly stupid, but it really works. So here I am. I've done the U-perm, and now it's still this OLL case. And then I do the OLL case, and it gives me a PLL skip, and I do the U2. So that actually works if you do the U-perm before that OLL. If, obviously, you have to know you're getting a U-perm. And here we actually get to the question of, why the hell did I do that? Isn't that just completely useless? It's the same move count. Well, that's not actually true, because, luckily enough, the last move of this U-perm is R2. And the first move of this OLL, the angle I did it from, is R. Which means we can cancel those two out, because obviously if you do R2, R, that's the same as just doing R prime once. So one move is cancelled in the middle there, very luckily for me. So let's execute this last layer as one fluid motion now. We start the U-perm, and the last move of the U-perm is about to be an R2, but remember, the first move of the next algorithm is an R. So I'm just going to do an R prime, and then finish the OLL algorithm. And do the U2 at the end. And it's solved in 38 moves. What are you doing? So just to show off the full final solution, all from the normal scramble, this is the original scramble, I'm just going to execute it. So first I do my original 11 moves to make the block, the big 3x2 block. And then what you do, to adjust for me using the inverse scramble, is I invert all the moves I did in the inverse scramble. So I start from the end and go to the start. And the cube is solved in 38 moves if you counted that. So obviously, like I said, I'm not an FMC main at all. I don't really practice, which is why I was so surprised when I got a 38. And I think the solution's pretty cool for the knowledge that I actually have. And that's been me. Thanks for watching.